Hey everybody, it's your old pal Ken, aka Sleaze Grinder. Hey, have you checked out the Heavy Leather Record Club podcast yet? So I'm one of the hosts of that, and it's super fun. We talk about all things vinyl, new releases, new arrivals. We rant, we rave, we have a great time. If you remember my old podcast, The Movies About Girls show, there's a bunch of people from that on there. I think you'll love it. So please check it out. There's a link in the description. Okay, I am going to talk to you about some more new arrivals in my collection. So let's just get to it. So on the show, a few weeks back, we had my buddy Kyle Davis, the Tattooed Dragon, from the band Detroit Rockers Against the Grain. And he was talking about it at some point a few years back. He was slated to record a record with this dude. The dude died. Didn't get a chance. He's from Reading, Massachusetts, not too far from here. And, he's a biker rock legend, R.I.P. Simon Stokes. And I was at Stereo Jack's recently, and I found his 1970 record, Simon Stokes and the Nighthawks. Simon Stokes is a guy with a long and storied career. And, he played hard, bluesy rock and roll music. And became a bit of a legend amongst, people that were into, proto metal and obscure hard rock music. So very cool to find this record. Did not expect to see it. Very happy to get it. It is what it looks like. It's heavy, bluesy, bikery, rock and roll music. Very cool. Also, while I was there, I picked up, it was still sealed, which is nice, the 1967 debut from the Equals. The Equals, of course, is the British band that at one point in their career boasted Eddie Grant before he became, obviously, the man that would bring us Electric Avenue. The Equals were, a multiracial, beat-heavy rock band in the mid to late 60s and then on into the 70s. And they were a big influence on The Clash, amongst others. And their songcraft is incredible. They write incredibly catchy songs, and they're very rocking and very joyful, even when they're talking about hard stuff. And I love them. And their records, very, very difficult to find out in the wild. So super psyched to find this. Cost me $20. Well worth it, man. I've been rocking this one all week long, and it sounds fantastic. And and it was still sealed. This band, I don't hear that much about them. I don't know what's going on with them, but they were in the 2010s. They were pretty well known. Seemed to be on the ascent. I think it was different times. I think in the 2010s we were able to put up with this kind of stuff, and we can't really anymore. The times are too dire. Talking about the Polyphonic Spring, band from Dallas. Choral rock, you might say, in the vein of like a Godspell kind of thing. Although, with a more traditional alternative rock edge to them. But certainly they were going hard on the idea of being a cult with, 20 people on stage, all wearing robes, But their music is very, again, you like the Equals, it's very joyful, it's very uplifting, even though it tangles with a lot of, real heavy stuff. It sort of accepts that, life has a lot of heaviness, but we can also find the joy and the light in it. And I think those are important messages. And this is their second album. 2007, I think, is when it originally came out. Called The Fragile Army. It's nice, people. Look, there's all the people in the band. Wow. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of mouths to feed on a tour. But yeah, great record. I if you don't know the Polyphonic Spree, you'll probably like the Polyphonic Spree. If you do like the Polyphonic Spree, then you know it's very difficult to find their records. So really nice to have this one. This one is relatively easy as far as these things go to get. It's like a $30, $35 record at this point, double album. Together We're Heavy, which is their big record, so to speak, their biggest record. None of the records were particularly big, but this is their biggest record, which came out after this one. It's like a $100 record, but this one is still great too. Polyphonic Spring. Check them out. This is a new release. Just came out a couple days ago. And I had heard the name in like, Flipside magazine or whatever. But I was not hip to the band. So this was another welcome reissue. 1995. The band was from Columbus, Ohio, called the Thomas Jefferson Slave Apartments. Bait and Switch, which was their first record. Here's a whole lot of information on the band, so you can read up on them while you're listening, which is always fun. But generally, what they did was they played kind of like, it was very 1995. It was kind of grunge rock. It was kind of noise rock. It was kind of punk. But all of that still reasonably accessible. And what I like, just kind of, very sarcastic and sort of mean-spirited, which I also would enjoy. So this was kind of a blind buy for me, but yeah, I really dug it a lot. There's I think it's called, they're from Ohio. There's a song here on called Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's just a minute long, but it's really funny. It's like burn it down before Steve Albini can get here. Stuff like that. It's good. It's if you like sarcastic, punky rock and roll, man, I suggest you check out Thomas Jefferson Slave Apartments. Last one I'll talk about today. I was just at Final Destination in Lowell, Massachusetts. Always a great place to visit, and I picked this one up. This band, I think, is really interesting. They just released a new record last year, and they're sort of, I feel like they're in the wrong era somehow. Like they should be somewhere in the 70s or somewhere in the 80s, which is not to say, I mean, they are. I don't want to use the term retro rock anymore because I feel like it's a little insulting to the bands, but they certainly sound like they would be from a different era. It's Lucifer. Swedish band Lucifer. Nicky Anderson from the Helicopters and Entombed is the drummer. His wife, Johanna, I forget her last name, is the singer. She used to be in a band called The Oath. And then she formed Lucifer. And they play 70s inspired, doomy, hard rock, bordering on heavy metal. Many people will say that they sound like a doomy heart, and that's probably pretty accurate. They're not quite as catchy as they should or could be, which is true, but they are a mood for sure. And that's why I think that they would have done really well in the 70s, because you didn't have to be catchy. You could just be a mood. You could be an album band. This is not an album world we live in anymore. It's a single world we live in. We have attention spans that are like gnats. They're so wispy now. If you don't hear something you like right away, you move on to the next thing. This is kind of deep listening. Chris Heavy Necker Cardone was here the other day. We did a little deep listening on this one. We vibed into it. It's one of those. It's an immersive record. But it's the third one. It's from I believe it's from 2020. I think Stacy and I saw them perform like a year before, 2019 maybe. Yeah, and they have a new record, Lucifer 4. Check them all out. They're all great. Like I said, they take a little patience. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having a little patience. All right, I think that'll be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me talk about rock and roll. If you want to hear me talk about rock and roll some more, check out the podcast. If you want to read what I say about rock and roll, you can check out Classic Rock Magazine. All right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Stay rock. For crying out loud, please. We need it. We need you to stay rock.